Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Zenaton, and today I'm bringing you the next video in my Runeterra series where I go through and rate every single card region by region, and today we will be going and heading towards Ionia. I like this region. I like Ionia. It's very nice. Got a lot of value cards, has the only counterspell in the game at the moment. You're gonna love it. Again, quick overview if you haven't seen the previous videos. This is a rating series where I rate every single card in every single region on a 5-star rating system. 0 is hyper trash, really bad card. 5 stars is really, really good. Probably one of the better cards, best cards in the game, in fact. And there are no half stars, and this is predominantly meant for constructed level play. I might talk a little bit about expeditions, but the ratings are going to be looking pretty much solely at constructed level playability. Anyway, with that, let's get into the ratings. First up in Ionia, though, let's see who we have. We got the Clouddrinker. I like the card. It's one of those cards that I like, but I think it's kind of bad. Card's been nerfed. Used to be a 6-mana 5/7, I believe. I might be getting some of the numbers wrong here. Like a 6-mana 5/7. And it used to also have an enlightened text, some extra text. Now it's a 6-mana 5/5. Not even a 5/5, sorry. 6-mana 3/5. Burst spells cost 1 less. I think it was a 5/7. It might have been a 3/7. I think it actually was a 3/7. I can't remember. It used to have 7 health, in other words. And it also says if you're in, it also used to say if you were enlightened, your burst spells cost 2 less, I believe. I might be misremembering a little bit because I didn't play much Clouddrinker when it was unnerfed, in all honesty. Even though I wanted to play more, I just couldn't find a good deck for it. Cards just not good anymore. I'm giving it 0. Oh, no. I'll give it 1 star. I'm going to give it 1 star, even though I think it's probably a 0 at the moment, purely because it's a fairly unique effect. I think this is the only card that actually discounts burst spells, so maybe in the future there might be a reason to play this card, even though it's very small for a 6-drop. But there might be some kind of deck that's like very spell focused. Specifically, it really wants to discount a spell for 1 mana for some kind of crazy OTK, maybe so it can like do an OTK and hold up a deny or something. Perhaps something like that. But right now, I don't think there's even a deck in existence right now in the current game with the kind of cards we have, but in the future. So this is purely getting 1 star because of the potential. Next up, though, we actually have a good card. We got Dawn and Dusk. 6-mana slow spell. Slow kind of hurts this card a lot. Summon 2 exact copies of an ally. They're ephemeral. There are combo decks in this game. This is part of it. Use it with like Mark of the Isle stuff to make stuff really big. Use it with like Anivia. Use it with like Ash, Zed, and you can get in a huge swing in for a lot of damage. It's a little expensive, don't get me wrong, but that's fine, I think, because it's a spell, you got spell mana, and you're able to hold up deny mana. You're going to hear me talking a lot about deny, I think, in Ionia, because it's one of the main reasons to be in Ionia. So this card, it gets 3 stars. I could see myself putting up to 4 stars. I just don't think it's good enough. It's really just not getting to 4 stars because it costs a little too much. Maybe 5 mana I would put it at 4 stars. This is like, I went back and forth on 3 and 4 stars, but I settled on 3 stars. Next up, though, we got Deathmark. I like this card. Fast spell, 3 mana. Remove ephemeral from an ally to grant it to an enemy. This card is, you can do a lot of cute stuff with this card. For example, you can like play in like a Hecarim deck with like just ephemeral units in general, remove ephemeral from something, use this as a kill spell. Dark Water Scourge as well, something with Mark of the Isles to make Mark of the Isles even better. Stuff like that. It's really nice. And it's also 3 mana, so it can be cast purely with only spell mana. So I'm going to give this card 4 stars. I really like this card. Beautiful card. Probably one of the reasons to play Ionia. Next up, though, we got Deny. This card here is like one of the biggest reasons to play Ionia. Like a solid card, probably the most annoying card if you've never played a game with counter spells in it. You're gonna hate this card. I'd say like if you're in Ionia, no matter what your deck is, you want at least 2 of these in your deck. Maybe even 3 in some metas, but at the very least 2 because it can hit skills. Don't like what Rasa's hitting and killing? Play this. Need to live from like a Commander Ladros having because you're at 1 life? Use Deny. So I'm gonna give this should be like I think everyone would agree on the rating for Deny. I don't think anyone would rate it any lower. I'm giving it 5 stars. Not even close to giving it 4 stars. Can cast it with purely spell mana, so you can just use all your regular mana and hold up Deny mana, so your opponent can be like, well, I want to do like Annihilation or something, or Ruination or whatever. I think it's Annihilate, not Annihilation, but something like that. I want to play a big, fancy spell like War Mother's Call, but your Ionia opponent's holding up 3 mana or has 3 spell mana. So they might not play against it. I could do a whole video on Deny and counter spells in general. Like, you can talk forever. I could talk forever about this card. But again, 5 stars. Really great. Expect it when you're playing against Ionia. When you're playing Ionia, you should play it. Aggro, control, mid, combo, doesn't matter. Play at least 2, I'd say. Next up, though, we got Herald Awakener. From, like, really, really good card to really, really mediocre meh card. 3 mana, 2/2 lifesteal. Already bad stats for the cost. It has Enlighten, so when you get to 10 mana, it gets +4/+4 and becomes a 3 mana 6/6 with lifesteal. That's good if it was just that. But, yeah, like, this card's weird. Like, it's too slow. By the time you get to 10 mana, a 3 mana 6/6 with lifesteal is not that impressive. At 3 mana for a 2/2 with lifesteal, that's not that good either. So, yeah. I don't even know if, like, a dedicated Enlightened deck comes out if you'll even play this, because it's just not that good. Maybe with, like, maybe in the future as, like, a way to stabilize an Enlightened deck, because it is a lifestealer, so maybe, but I'm just not seeing it. I'm giving it 1 star, because maybe an Enlightened deck in the future might want it, but I don't see it. Like, it's the problem of Enlightened decks. Like, Enlightened decks just need a way to survive to the late game, and this guy's payoff when they don't need the payoff, they just need the way to survive to the late game, so 1 star. It's still fine. It's not amazing. Fey Blade Twirler. All right, another good card. 2 mana, 1/3, quick attack. When you stun or recall a unit, grant me +2/+0. Have fun with this card. This card is annoying. Survives Avalanche, which is huge, actually. Quick attack makes it attack in really well against things that are just mid-range and playing units in general. Probably just like a build around for the stun recall deck. Even outside of like purely dedicated to only stun and recall decks, I would say it's still okay. Like, as long as you can stun or recall once, it becomes a 3/3 with quick attack for 2 mana. Sure, you gotta put in a little work for it, but it's still pretty good. Since you gotta put in a little work for it, though, I'm only gonna give it 4 stars. So, yeah, good card. Good aggro card. Fills up the 2 slot. It's pretty decent. Pretty okay in the late game, too. It's kind of nice. Next up, though, we got Ghost. Ghost is, I really feel like I might be wrong on Ghost. Ghost has, like, some OTK potential. You got, Noxus, you got Shiraza, the Blade, or whatever her name is. She does double damage to the Nexus. Use, like, an Ionia Noxus deck with Shiraza. Give Shiraza Elusive for the turn. Give her some buffs, and you can OTK your opponent out of nowhere. Sounds cute. Not amazing, but like sounds cute for an OTK. You can use other Nexus Strike stuff too besides Shiraza. It's just Shiraza is the one who comes to my mind first. I'm gonna give this 3 stars. It's like, this is one of those that's like, it could be 2 stars, it could be 3 stars. I'm gonna go with my gut because I think like OTK decks are always kind of pretty decent if they can get there. And this will probably be one of them because Burst Spell means it's gonna always go off. Very cheap, 3 stars. Next up, though, we got the Green Glade Caretaker. On the waifu scale, she's an easy 5 out of 5 stars. But, as a card, she's actually still pretty good. 1 mana, 1/2. When an ally gets barrier, get +2/+0. It's pretty nice. Barrier build around things like Shen, maybe Fiora, other stuff like that. Kinko Wayfinder, maybe. Like, we'll fetch her and stuff. It's pretty nice. I would say, like, she's definitely constructed playable, though. Definitely 3 stars. Like, She's not amazing in the late game, needs a little work to become a good unit, and she's still, like, really good, though, in the deck she's really good in, but that's it. Like, just a lot of work, so she's only getting 3 stars. Now we got Green Glade Duo. Probably one of the better Ionia cards, in all honesty. 2 mana, 2/1, Elusive, summon an ally, +1/+0 this round. You're going to hate this card. I might be able to be convinced to give this thing, like, a lower rating, but I'm giving this thing 5 stars. Like, this card's kind of hard to answer outside of certain regions. Like, Shadow Isles has things like Vile Feast and Whale to answer this really cleanly, and Avalanche and Freljord, but it's kind of, like, really difficult to deal with, and it hits really hard really fast. So, easy 5 stars. Aggro decks, drop this on turn 2. You're already going to start digging for an answer for this. Unless you're also playing Elusives yourself, in which case, well, you kind of lucked out. But you also have Elusives. Next up, though, Greenglade Elder. I'm not sure about this card. Like, this card, I've seen this card being played in, like, decks where my opponents are playing, like, elusive stuff, where they're, like, playing this card, and then they, like, recall it and bounce it back to their hand and replay it. I'm not sure how good that is. I really haven't lost to that style of deck too much, but I'm going to give it 0. So, like, I'm very unsure about this card in terms of my rating. Like, I could see this, I'm putting it at 0 because I just think it's too much mana. Because, like, I think you want to play this in a deck where you play it, you bring it back to your hand, and you play it again, and you keep doing that over and over and over with a lot of elusive stuff. That just sounds so slow to me. Like, maybe if this card, like, I could also see this being like a 3 or even 4 stars. I could just be 100% wrong. I just don't think it's that powerful. The other thing is, like, I think if it costed 2 mana, I would probably just be like, already have given it a 3. Like, that's just how the difference between 2 and 3 mana. Again, I'm, like, really unsure about this card, but I'm giving it just 0 stars because I think it's just too slow for the current meta. Maybe if the meta slows down, this will be a fun card and really powerful, and you'll hate this card, and it will win games. But for now, 0 stars. I could, like, maybe do a video where I come back and re-rate cards in the future, where I've played more games and stuff, and maybe this guy will get a 4 or even a 5, maybe. Who knows? Maybe he'll enable an entire deck. Next up, though, we got the Green Glade Lookout. I like this guy in Expedition, though. He's really fun. As for Constructed, though, just Thankfully, it's not Nexus Strike, so he's pretty much always going to get his text off. 2 mana, 2/1 strike, reduce the cost of the most expensive unit in your hand. Not being able to control what's getting reduced, it's a huge negative. You're always going to, like, reduce, like, the biggest thing, so yeah, I'm gonna give this guy only 1 star. Like, he's fine. It's just like, who wants this card? I don't know. It's a powerful effect, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think anyone wants this card. So, no thank you. Sorry, Mr. Lookout. Next up, we got Health Potion, though. Yeah, this card's bad. If you come from any other card game, you should realize that paying for healing is usually bad, and probably don't want to play a card solely to heal. Healing 3 is really strong. Using an entire card in your deck just to heal 3 is probably not worth it. So 0 stars. Even at 1 mana, even at 0 mana, I'd probably still give this thing 0 stars. So yeah, 0 stars. Don't play it. Next up, Herald of Spring. I tried this card. I tried it a lot in, like, a Karma. I think I tried out Freljord, like Karma Braum deck. This card just wasn't pulling enough weight. I was trying to use this card as a way to help stabilize myself and stabilize my life total. The issue was it almost always died by the time it helped to swing in. And even then, it sometimes died before it could help swing in and help out my team and give lifesteal to something. So I'm going to give this thing 1 star because it's still, like, fairly unique in what it does by giving lifesteal to a deck that might not have lifesteal already and just a way to stabilize against aggro. But it's just not good enough, I think, in my opinion. And there's just like, I don't know, maybe like with some barrier stuff to protect this and protect what's attacking in. But I don't think so. I don't think any of the support stuff is that good in all honesty outside of a few key cards. Next up though, Insight of Ages. In that Karma deck I was talking about, I was actually playing this card. It was really bad. Just like this card, even though I like this card because, you know, rolling the slot machine, playing the slot machine, it's really fun. Gambling's fun. Who would have guessed? 2 mana burst spell. Create a random spell in hand. When you're enlightened, create 2 instead. Terrible. There's just like, just nothing really. I'm gonna give it 0 stars. No deck really wants this. Random cards are bad. Like, you could just get random spells that do absolutely nothing. So yeah, 0 stars. Really fun to meme around with Karma, of course, but in terms of like serious real decks you're trying to win all the time with, this card's not worth it. Inspiring Mentor. I love this card. I think this card is super, super amazing. Good with hand buff, good with elusives, Zed, just all around great. 1 mana, 1/1, play him, grant an ally in hand, +1/+1. He gets you on the board right away to protect against like aggro if you're not an aggro deck. It helps build your stuff up in your board in case you're a hand buff stuff, helps Zed out or quick attack stuff in general. This guy, I'm going to give him 5 stars. I think he's really, really good. Like, another one of the cards that's one of the reasons you play Ionia. Like this and Deny and a few other cards. Next up, though, speaking of hand buffs, what if we took Inspiring Mentor and made him bigger? Jeweled Protector. 5 mana, 3/3. Grant an ally in hand, +3/+3. The issue with this guy compared to the Mentor is the cost. Mentor was 1 mana. You can get him down early. Even if you don't have him in your early hand, you can just use some leftover mana to just dump him down. This guy, you're probably going to spend like an entire turn or at least like a large amount of mana on your turn just casting this guy. Maybe like a hand buff deck can show up and this guy can show up. Like, because +3/+3 is really powerful, don't get me wrong, especially in a hand buff deck. So I'm going to give it 2 stars because it might be okay in hand buffs. Like, you put it on, like, a Highwayman, like the Navourikan Highwayman, I believe is the name, or, like, something with Challenger, maybe, if you're playing some Demacia. But, again, just a little too expensive. Like, for 4 mana, I would probably give this thing 3 stars, but at 5 mana, I'm giving it 2 stars. Next up, though, I believe it's our first champion. I think this is our first champion, actually. We got Karma. Personally, love the card. Waifu scale, easy 5 stars, too, by the way. Karma, 5 mana, 4/3. End of the round, create a random spell in hand to level her up, become enlightened, and then when she's leveled up, every time you play a spell, cast it again on the same targets. And then her champion spell, we've already seen, was Insight of Ages. Create a random spell. If you're enlightened, create 2 random spells. I don't think she's that good in all honesty, even though I really like her and she's really fun to play with. Just not good enough. Like, the random card, it is card advantage, but sometimes you'll just get a bad card that just doesn't do anything. 3 health is kind of bad because of things like Black Spear and Grasp and other such things. If she was a 3/4, it would be so much better, of course. I'm going to give her 2 stars only. Like, I've tried her out. Pretty meh. In Expedition, I think she's pretty good, but for Constructed, pretty much always want to play her when she's Enlightened. You almost never want to play her early because your opponent's... Like, Enlightened Karma is really, really powerful, don't get me wrong, but your opponents realize that too, and they'll just kill Karma if she's not Enlightened, or sorry, leveled up yet. So, just not good enough, because if you're getting to 10 mana, you have better stuff you can do anyway besides Enlightened, leveled up Karma. Next up, though, we got Keeper of Masks. Pretty good card. 2 mana, 2/3. When you summon it, give other allies +1/+0 this round. If you have a wide board, play this card. Crash in, a lot of damage. Good finisher for an aggro deck in Ionia. Put it on, like, in a deck with some elusives. Your opponent's gonna get mad. I'm giving this 2 stars, though, because, like, that's it. Like, I just don't know, because it's like, it's gonna sit in your hand a while, I think, until, like, turn 5, until you play it. So, yeah, only 2 stars. It might be 3 stars. It could even be 4 stars, but I'm just giving it 2 stars. I don't play aggro that much, in all honesty, so I might be rating all these aggro-based cards completely wrong and completely poorly and just be completely off the mark with these cards. But I'm giving it 2 stars because I can see a deck that it goes in. Like, Elusive aggro seems like it might be the real deal. And this card giving, like, if you're giving, like, +3, well, +1, +0 3 times, it's pretty good, I guess, for 2 mana. And it can attack itself, of course, but I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Key Ardian. I like this card. 2 mana burst spell. Grant barrier to an ally and hand draw 1. I not maybe, but I did misread the spell when I first saw it. I thought it said grant barrier to an ally. I didn't read the in hand part, so I was like, this card is insane. Why is no one talking about this card more? 2 mana to give barrier to anything on the board, and you get to draw 1? How could people not like that? And then I actually was playing this card in Expedition, and I tried to give barrier to an ally while I was on the board, and I was like, oh, whoops, I should read the card. I'm giving this 3 stars, though. It's still fine, like, it's pretty good still, like, good in barrier decks. And then the 2 mana to draw 1 clause of it, it's still fine. But I'm just going to give it 3 stars. If it was what I thought it was, I think that would be an easy 5 stars. But as it is, only 2 stars is what I'm going to give this card. Kinko Lifeblade. I think this card is great. 4 mana, 2/3, Lifesteal Elusive. That's it. I mean, it's not a flashy card, but really understated for its cost. Don't get me wrong, but 2/3 with Elusive and Lifesteal, it's probably going to always be able to get in there and get its damage in. And Lifesteal is going to make it so it's going to be really hard to race. Put a buff on this guy somehow. Whatever kind of buff. Permanent buff especially, of course, is what you would like. This guy is a real threat. He's going to make it super hard to race, and he's just going to kill you. He's going to get, from me, 3 stars. Because it will take a little bit of work, and 4 mana is a lot of mana. So only 3 stars from me. I could see myself putting this up to 4 stars. I just don't really believe in elusives right now, but perhaps elusives are the real deal. Also, next up, still in the Kinko. Kinko Wayfinder, 4 mana, 2/3, summon 2 1-cost allies from our deck. Allegiance. I don't think Allegiance is good, but this is probably one of the better Allegiance cards. We already saw Green Glade Caretaker. That's a good card to fetch with this. This can fetch champions too, so it can fetch Teemo as well if you're trying to play like some Teemo stuff in Piltover and Zaun, like a Ionia Piltover and Zaun deck. It's not that good, but it's not that bad. Like, drawing and summoning, it's not even just drawing, it's just summoning them, so I think it's pretty fine and pretty powerful. I'm gonna give it 4 stars. Could probably be 3 stars. One of these cards I go back and forth on. I'm giving it 4 stars for now, because I think it's just powerful. 4 mana, basically draw and play 2 cards that are 2 mana worth, so you're like getting 2 mana for free. And it's like tutoring and thinning out the deck too, of course, which is nice. So yeah, 4 stars. Oh, Mina Swiftfoot. I like this card a lot. 9 mana, 6/5, play, recall, 3 enemies. Good finisher. Put in like a Yasuo deck, or just a stun recall deck in general, and she'll probably win. The only issue I have is that control. I've tried her in control. She's just not good enough, I think, for control. A little too expensive, so 3 stars. If she was a little bit cheaper, like I feel like if she was 8 mana maybe, but then like the Yasuo stun recall deck might be even stronger, but maybe she's good enough as is, and maybe I'm dumb. So yeah, 3 stars for Mina. 5 out of 5 on the waifu scale, though. Very cute. Next up, though, Navourikan Blade Scout. 1 mana, 2/1. When it's summoned, it gets elusive for the round. Only that turn. This card, I think it's okay. It's like, you put in the 1-drop slot if you're an aggro deck, comes down, gets its damage in, and then it's still a 2/1 for 1, which is fine for stats. It's fine in the late game to draw because of the whole, when it's summoned, it has elusive for that turn. I'm going to give it 3 stars. I'm not the biggest believer in things with 1 health because of things like Vile Feast and Whale and other such things, but I'm going to give it 3 stars. Not every faction has ways to ping easily. Sorry, region. I keep saying faction instead of region. Anyway, though, we got up next the Navourikan Spirit. 2 mana 3/2 elusive. To play it, you got to recall an ally though, which isn't even necessarily a downside. You play you start off the game by playing, say, I would say Inspiring Mentor on turn 1, play Conspirator on turn 2, play the Mentor again later. That's value. It's slow, but it's value. So, I like this card. Stats are good too, in fact. The having to recall an ally is supposed to be a downside, which you can turn into an upside. Really, really nice. It's going to get 4 stars from me because it's a little clunky and a little hard to play, but it's still 4 stars. Still really, really good. You can put on other stuff too, just a lot of common one drops, off the top of my head, outside of Ionia, Omen Hawk from Freljord. It's pretty good. Next up though, Navourikan Highwayman. Part of the hand buff deck. Navourikan Highwayman, 2 mana 1/2. When it's summoned, summon a Navourikan Brigand with his stats. Navourikan Brigand, as you can see on the screen, it's just a vanilla 1/2 as well. Just has no abilities. So it's not an exact clone of the Highwayman. I don't think if you somehow give the Highwayman Barrier or Lifesteal or whatever while it's in your hand, the Brigand will get those abilities, but could be. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't actually played this card. But yeah, this is one of the cards you play in hand buff. It's a very good card. With certain cards that want a wide board, this card's pretty nice too, like Keeper of Masks. You play this just to get a lot of bodies, even though it's only a 1/2 and you haven't buffed it at all, just because it's really good stats for the cost. It's 2 mana 2/4, so 2 mana 6 stats for 2 mana. A lot of stats. I'm gonna give the Brigand and the Highwayman pair, I'm gonna give them 3 stars. Don't really think it's that good, but I still think it's fine. Turn 1 Inspiring Mentor, turn 2 Highwayman, you get 2 2/3s on turn 2. That's pretty nice. There's some cute stuff you can do with this, but it takes a lot of work to do stuff like that. So only 3 stars for me. Next up though, okay, we got one of these boys. One of the 1 mana 1/1s. Nimble Poro. 1 mana 1/1, quick attack, it's a Poro. As his friends, he's getting 0 stars. This is a bad cycle of cards. Pretty much all unplayable. Yeah. There's not much to say about it. Don't play 1 mana 1/1s unless they do something really, really good. And quick attack's not really, really good. And the Poro payoff is not good enough. Next up though, we got Recall. 1 mana fast spell. Recall an ally. It's fine in the right deck, I think. 1 mana, not burst speed, kind of hurts it. I mean, really hurts it. If not being burst speed, it hurts every single card. Everything would love to be burst speed if they could. But fast speed is nice, so you can use it to protect an ally of yours. You can use it to get around stuff when you're attacking. It's a fine card. Put it in the Yasuo deck, which is basically the stun recall deck, which is the deck I think only wants to play this. That's the only deck I think that wants to play this is the stun recall deck. So it's gonna get 3 stars from me for lack of versatility. Still has a home though, so it's getting 3 stars, and it's cheap too, which I like. So yeah, 3 stars. Next up though, Ren Shadow Blade. 8 mana 6/4. When the enemy summons a follower, granted ephemeral. This card's bad. 8 mana? Ugh. If you're playing a card that costs I'd say more than 6 mana, it better be doing a lot of stuff. And if you're playing 8 mana cards, you probably want to do more than Ren Shadow Blade's doing. So yeah, this card, it gets 0 stars. Just too slow. Way, way too slow. And it's not doing a lot even though it's a slow card. So again, 0 stars. Sorry, Mr. Blade. Ritual of Renewal. In that Karma deck I played a Ritual of Renewal or 2. I can't remember the exact number I played. Being enlightened and having a leveled up Karma and playing Ritual of Renewal, so it's a heal 14, draw 2. Very cute. But A 7-mana slow spell to heal anything for 7 and draw 1? Not good enough. Again, like I said earlier, don't pay for healing unless like you're getting insane amount of healing, and 7 for 7. Basically 1 health for 1 mana. Even if you're drawing 1, it's not good enough. 0 stars. Even when I had Enlightened, I'm gonna keep saying Enlightened. Even when I had a leveled up Karma, so this thing was being cast twice for only 7 mana, even then it didn't even feel that good. So again, 0 stars. We got River Shaper. This is one of those other cards I tried to play in that control deck. 3 mana, 2/1, strike, draw a spell. The issue with this guy is, first off, that sounds really good, right? Drawing cards. Who doesn't want to draw cards? The issue is, he's so small for the cost. There are 1 mana cards who are bigger than this guy, and this guy's 3 mana? No, thank you. Costs way too much. Stat line is too bad, like easily killable. Like maybe if you put him in like a deck with like buffs and barriers and ways to protect him, maybe. But even then, I'm just not the biggest fan. I'm gonna give him 1 star because there is some kind of deck that you might be able to play with him. But if you're gonna use a deck, if you're gonna use this card and put a lot of buffs and barriers around it, just play Fiora or something instead. Don't play River Shaper in your buff barrier whatever deck. Next up, though, we got Rush. 1 mana burst spell. Give an ally +1/+0 and quick attack this round. I think it's pretty good. I think it's like one of the best 1 mana combat tricks out there. Burst spell, really good. Love the burst speed stuff. 1 mana, very cheap, of course. It's 4 stars for me. Quick attack probably means you're going to win combat. And it gets +1/+0, so, you know, it's a little bit of reach, and it helps to muddle up the math when you're doing combat with your opponent. So, yeah, 4 stars. Pretty good. Really, really good, in fact. I would say I could even be convinced it could be 5 stars. Next up, though, we got Scaled Snapper. This card, I think, is actually good. We had a card like this in Hearthstone called Druid of the Flame, I believe. That was pretty much exactly the same thing. It was really good as just a solid 3-drop that you would play that had some flexibility. 3 mana, 2/5. Great stats for the cost. Huge, huge, huge against anti-aggro, or against aggro as an anti-aggro tool. You play it on turn 3. Your opponent with their 2/1s and their 3/2s and whatever are like, well, now what? They got a 2/5. How am I going to get around that? And being able to become a 5/2 makes it even better. It's like you're against a control player, you make it a 5/2, and you just start cracking in for 5 a turn. You might not want to do that even against control because of Avalanche, of course, but still, maybe you'll do it anyway. Maybe you'll roll the dice and say your opponent doesn't have Avalanche, and you just try to kill him. I'm giving it 3 stars. It's not too flashy. It's not going to win you games by itself, but it has a role to play, and it does it really well. So 3 stars. Next up, though, Shadow Assassin. I love this card. 3 mana, 2/2, elusive. Summon her, draw a card. If it says draw a card, I already like the card, even if I think it's bad. Yeah, card is value. Like, you put it in your elusive decks that are even aggro based. It keeps you going and keeps drawing gas for you. Put it in like it's really good with things like recall. Bounce it back to your hand, play it again. Keep the card train going and keep getting more and more cards, more gas to keep beating your opponent up. I'm going to give it 4 stars. Really love this card. Really nice. Also, 5 out of 5 on the waifu scale. Pretty cutie. Or pretty cute QT. There you go. Next up, though, I believe is a bad card. Shadow Fiend. Go back to Dota. 1 mana, 4/3 ephemeral. Just like, Like, sure, it's really overstated, but as ephemeral, don't play this card, even in ephemeral decks. There's just better stuff in the ephemeral decks anyway. So I'm giving this guy 0 stars. Even the ephemeral decks don't want him, so yeah, 0 stars for me. Next up, though, we got Shadow Flare. 6 mana, fast spell. Grant all battling followers ephemeral. This card is good. It's very, very skill testing, though, in my opinion. But I like it. I think it's a little expensive, so I don't think it's that good though. But the ability is good. Like you use it, give something that your opponent's attacking with ephemeral, take a little bit of damage just to kill their stuff. Sounds pretty cool. Combos with like Deathmark and stuff. Sounds cute. So I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's 3 stars worthy. This is one of those cards I was like going back and forth on. Could be 2 stars, but I like it, so I'm giving it 3 stars. I'm always the kind of guy who's like, I'll use my health. I will trade my health. I'll give all my health just to get some board control, some card advantage, whatever. The only HP that matters is the last HP. I subscribe to that philosophy. Anyway, though, next up we got Shadow Shift. Good card. Shadow Shift, 3 mana, fast spell, recall an ally to summon a living shadow in its place. It's not that good though. Like the effect is nice, but the problem is there's other cards that are just better, like recall, for cheaper as well. So because of that, I'm only gonna give it 1 star because like while the effect is powerful and the card itself is powerful, there's just better cards that do pretty much the same thing for cheaper, or they do it better for around the same price. So again, 1 star. Great card though. If you just need this kind of effect, you can play it. Next up though, we got another champion. We got Shen. Shen, I'm not the biggest fan of. 4 mana, 2/5 support. Give my supported ally barrier. To level him up, he has to see his allies get barrier 4 times. It's not that great. Leveled up Shen is a 3/6 who still has the support. The same thing with his support, give his ally a barrier. But now when an ally gets a barrier, it gets +3/+0 for the round. And the champion spell is Stand United, which is a burst spell. Swap 2 allies, give them barrier. Very expensive champion spell. Pretty much only goes in barrier decks. I'm not the most impressed by Shen. Shen's one of the weaker champs in my opinion. I'm only going to give him 3 stars because I think the barrier decks are okay. Like maybe in a Fiora deck you could have this, so you could do like a Demacia Ionia, there you go. Ionia deck with Shen and Fiora as your champs. That way you can also have Deny to try and protect the Fiora. But again, like a big issue I think is Shen himself doesn't have barrier, and so you're going to be using some of the protection on Shen himself as well, besides the Fiora. So 3 stars. I could see myself bringing this down to 2, but for now I like it at 3. Next up though, Silent Shadow Seer. 2 mana, 3/1. Elusive and ephemeral, so she's going to die pretty much after she strikes or the turn ends. However, Nexus Strike, create a copy in hand. That's a lot of mana, so like, you play her, you hit your opponent in the face basically, it comes back to your hand. And you keep doing that over and over and over. Of course, this is assuming your opponent doesn't have elusive stuff themselves. I still think it's pretty good, like, it helps you out in the late game because it's a repeatable source of damage over and over and over. So I'm going to give it 4 stars, even though that is slow, what I just said to do that. But it's still nice. And there's the card Deathmark. Use Deathmark on this to remove the ephemeral and keep striking the Nexus and kill whatever had Deathmark, of course. And then you can make an army of these. So that's a cute thing you can do, but you don't even have to do that to make this card good. This card is just good. Next up, though, Solitary Monk. 5 out of 5 in terms of cuteness. 3 mana, 4/3 elusive. Summon, recall all other allies. I'm not sure about this card. The stat line is huge, like 7 stats, a 4/3 for 3 mana. That is huge. And she has elusive, so she's going to beat down really quickly. I really don't know about this card, though. I just don't know of any decks that want them, because like the elusive decks by turn 3 want to have a board and they want to start to be like attacking in and pushing that damage in, and this kind of ruins that board. So I'm only going to give her 3 stars because like in theory she's powerful, but in practice I don't think she has a deck that wants her yet. So 3 stars. Sown Seeds, 2 mana, burst spell, grant allies in hand +1/+0. Card's bad. Even if you're going all in on hand buff stuff, I don't think you want this card because it's just not worth a card. It's one of these cards that, like, yeah, the effect's fine, but you don't really want to use a whole card in your deck just for this effect. So I'm gonna give it 0 stars. Maybe if it had text that said, like, draw a card, basically, so you don't have to waste a whole card on it, so it replaced itself, maybe. But for 2 mana to just give allies +1/+0, just not good enough, even in hand buff stuff. And hand buff is the only deck that would even consider running this, I think. Next up, though, Sparring Student. When you summon an ally, gets +1/+1 for the round. So it'll attack in for like as a 2/2 or 3/3 sometimes. If you're not summoning anything, it's only a 1/1. Not that good, but I think it is good. I know that's like an oxymoron I just said, not that good, but I think it's good. I just don't know what kind of deck goes in it. The one I can think of is like you go into Shadow Isles, you put in Hecarims and Shark Chariots, and this guy becomes really big and becomes like a 4/4 or a 5/5 when it swings in. Because of that, I'm going to give this guy 4 stars. Seems powerful, but it's a lot of work. Like that, what I just described is really powerful. A 1 mana that swings in as a 4/4 or a 5/5, that's extremely powerful. The issue is that's a lot of work. So like this guy's getting 4 stars purely because of that and all that power. So I could be wrong. Could be 2 stars, could be 3 even, could be 5. I don't know. I think it's only a 4. I think it is powerful enough for constructed though. Next up, we got Spirit's Refuge. 4 mana burst spell. Give an ally barrier and lifesteal this round. It's powerful. Like the abilities are strong. 4 mana's high. Again, 4 mana kind of sucks to be 4 mana, not 3 mana, so you have to use regular mana instead of only using spell mana. I'm gonna say it's not that good. Like it's good in barrier decks, like a Fiora deck. You put it on like Fiora or something to give her lifesteal when she uses a challenger and give her barrier and stuff. But just not that good. Like good against aggro, I guess. Like maybe use it as a tech card against aggro. So 2 stars from me. Just like a little too expensive for my blood. Next up, we got Stand United. We got Shen's spell. Without the Shen, Stand United, 6 mana. Burst speed. Swap 2 allies, give them barrier. Without Shen, I don't think this card's that good. Even with Shen, I don't think the card's that good. Because I don't think Shen's good. But I don't know if you want to put this card in your deck. It's a good ability, don't get me wrong. But it's a little too expensive. So I'm going to give it 2 stars because of the price. 6 mana is too much mana, even with spell mana. Like I've seen some people being like, it's not 6 mana, it's 3 mana. I'm like, you're not always going to have 3 spell mana. So that's why it's getting 2 stars. Because it is very powerful, don't get me wrong. But again, only 2 stars from me. Next up, though. Steel Tempest. 3 mana, fast spell, stun an attacking enemy. I think it's too expensive. Stun recall decks obviously might play this, but outside of the stun recall decks, no one else will play this. And even in the stun recall decks, I think there's better stuff. It's very unflexible compared to something like Will of Ionia and Recall, which can basically just target your stuff. So, not sure about it though. I'm going to give it 2 stars. I don't think the stun recall decks are even that good, and even in those decks, I don't even think they all want to play Steel Tempest. Maybe as like a 1 of or a 2 of, but again, it's not that good. Next up, Empyrion. This card, don't have to talk about this card much. 7 mana, 6/5, elusive. I'm gonna give the Empyrion 1 star. Maybe as like top end for an elusive deck, but it's just too slow. This is pretty much just an expedition finisher. It's getting 1 star because if you somehow get this card randomly generated from something, it's pretty nice, like a big finisher. But again, this is just expedition finisher. Probably shouldn't be playing this in constructed. Next up though, Twin Disciplines. 3 mana, burst spell, give an ally +3/+0 or +0/+3 this round. It's overcosted for either of those abilities. 3 mana to give +3/+0 or +0/+3. That's so expensive. Now, being a burst spell is nice, so your opponent can't respond to it with like something like Grasp or something. So it can protect from stuff like that, and your opponent can go, well, I have a Black Spear or I have a Grasp. So that's nice, but I think it's just too expensive. I am going to give it 3 stars though, because having options in card games is nice. Being able to choose and flexibility is always good. So 3 stars because of the flexibility and the options. But again, I think it's just too expensive. Maybe as a 1 over 2 of as in the right decks and in the right meta, but not really good enough. Like 3 mana is a lot for a combat trick that only does this. Next up though, we got Will of Ionia. This is one I was talking about this earlier with Steel Tempest, I think. I'd rather play this than Steel Tempest. 4 mana, fast spell, recall a unit. You can use it on your own units to get value. You can use it on your enemies to make way. Great card. Really, really nice card. Don't think it's good in Ionia. Like, that's the issue with this card. I'm going to give it 4 stars. But I think the problem is it's in Ionia. I think if this was in a different region, it'd be great, but I don't think most Ionia decks want this card. I think other decks and other regions want this card, but they just can't play it because they're not playing Ionia, of course. Next up, though, we got Windfarer Hatchling. It's like the Empyrion. We don't have to talk about this guy too much. 7 mana, 4/2. When it's summoned, give other allies +2/+2 this round. This is just an Expeditions finisher. Maybe as an elusive finisher too. Just costs too much though, is the problem with being an elusive finisher. So yeah, 1 star. This guy, you should not see this guy outside of Expedition, and if you do, your opponent's probably playing a budget deck. Next up, speaking of which, we got Yasuo. Speaking of Yasuo and the stun recall decks over and over and over, here he is. 4 mana, 4/3. When you stun or recall an enemy, he deals 2 to it. And to level him up, you gotta stun or recall 6+ units. That's not the hardest thing to do, I'd say. And leveled up Yasuo is really powerful and just game winning in my opinion. 4 mana, 5/4. Quick attack. I forgot quick attack is also on Yasuo, by the way. 4 mana, 5/4 quick attack. When you stun or recall an enemy, strike it. The important thing is it says strike, not fight. So Yasuo is not taking any damage. So he's pretty much just saying, like, while you have Yasuo out, it's pretty much saying, basically, whenever you stun or recall an enemy, you're doing 5 to it before it gets bounced again. That's very powerful. And of course, if you buff up Yasuo, he'll be doing more. His fast spell is Steel Tempest, which is not a great spell, but again, the champion spells are whatever. Next up, though, we have... Wait, why did I say next up? Sorry about that. I haven't even given this guy a rating yet. But yeah, Yasuo, he's kind of like the reason you're playing a stun recall deck, in my opinion. The only issue is I don't think it's a good card. Or, sorry, a good deck. I think Yasuo's a great card, but I'm only going to give him 3 stars purely because outside of stun recall decks, you don't really want to play him. And he needs a little bit of work to do, like a 4 mana 4/3 quick attack. Just when you look at Yasuo like that, it's not good compared to like other quick attack stuff. So yeah, he's only getting 3 stars, excuse me, even though Yasuo, especially leveled up, is really, really powerful. Next up though, before I lose my voice, as I'm starting to lose my voice here, we got Yone, Wind Chaser. 7 mana 6/6. You play him, you stun 2 enemies. There's not much, like, nothing complex about this guy. Is fairly solid card. Pretty decent as like a finisher in the stun recall list as well, as we're talking about. 3 stars. A little expensive though, but he does his job as a finisher. He curves really well with Yasuo. You know, by the time Yasuo levels, you're probably going to be around 7, so you have an evolved, leveled up, Yasuo. You play Yone. Do a lot of damage, kill a lot of boys, probably clear the way a bit, crash in for a lot of damage. Sounds good. Only 3 stars though. Oh, now I got you. Sorry. This guy's a freaking meme. 5 mana 4/3, Challenger Elusive. I get it. I see what they're trying to do here. Like, you play him, you use the Elusive, and you keep attacking in for 4, and then you use Challenger if there's a problematic card to kill something. It's just too expensive. Like, he's getting 1 star. Way too expensive for Constructed. It's fine in Expedition again, but this isn't really for Expedition, so 1 star. Next up, though, we got Zed, the final champion of Ionia, and probably the strongest champion in Ionia, I would say. Zed is a 3-mana 3/2 quick attack. Whenever you attack with him, create a Living Shadow. You can see what the Living Shadow is, a 3-mana 3/2 on the left with Ephemeral. To level him up, his shadows or him have to strike the enemy nexus twice. And then he becomes a 3-mana 4/3 with quick attack, who creates a living shadow with his stats and keywords that time. Very, very important there. He gets the keywords this time whenever he attacks. And his spell is Shadow Shift, as we saw earlier. It's an okay spell as a champion spell, but you're playing Zed because of Zed, not for his champion spell. Really, really good card. Like, huge. If you can buff him up, even better, because then he gets out of Mystic Shot and Avalanche range. And that's one of the best ways to deal with Zed, in my opinion. But even then, if you're just playing him on 3 as a 3/2 with no way to buff him up, huge. Like, quick attack's going to make it hard to block. And your opponent's going to cry as you play this guy because of the Living Shadows, too. Very easy to level him up, too. I'm giving Zed 5 stars. I think he is probably one of the better champions in the game at the moment. Next up, though, we got Zephyr Sage. I don't know about this card. I like the card. I think the card is good. I just think I'm overrating this card. 6 mana 4/4. When you play it, create an exact copy of a card in hand. So basically, I'm reading it as a 6 mana 4/4. Draw the best card in your hand, which a 6 mana 4/4 draw a card isn't terrible. Now, of course, it's not drawing from your deck, so you're not going through your deck and looking for like a key card. You're just drawing a card from your hand that is probably like high value or something. So I'm going to give this card 3 stars because value, and I love it. But I don't know about it. I could see this card even being a 0. I don't think it's a 0 though, but maybe it's more in line with a 2-star card. I'm giving it 3 stars though, because you can clone you can do like a lot of cute stuff, like clone hand buff cards that have been buffed. Because it says exact copy, so they're getting, like, if you clone something that's been buffed up a lot, it's keeping the buffs. Like, if you gave something barrier, the copy's also going to have barrier. So there's a lot of cute stuff here, but I'm not sure about this card. So 3 stars from me, and I believe, yep, that's correct. That is the last card in Ionia. These videos are really long, by the way. I hope you all enjoyed this, though. Next up, in the next video, we're going to head over to Noxus. I haven't played much Noxus. It's more of an aggro region in general. There's some cute stuff, though, as we'll see later on in the next video. I hope you all enjoyed, though, watching this video. I enjoyed making this video. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like or comment down below. It really helps me out. And if you guys want to keep up with the Runeterra videos, you know, you can subscribe to the channel. If you guys also want to watch me play some Runeterra, I've been playing it a lot. You can go check me out on my Twitch TV account. And that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. So until I see you guys in the future, in the next video, which will be the Noxus one, I believe. Bye.